Okay, so walk us a little bit through the day. I mean, what they were doing as the Allied troops landed, and also particularly tell us about the story of Waverly Woodson, who was a medic, right, within the unit, and ended up really playing a very heroic role, saving many lives during the day.
Yeah, the medic story was interesting. I stumbled on that. I didn't know anything about the medics until I started researching the 50th anniversary of D-Day, where Waverly Woodson was interviewed by a few network crews and newspaper reporters about what he did. Waverly Woodson was one of 5 black medics for the 320th, and as far as I can tell, they were the first African Americans to set foot on Omaha Beach. And they landed, the times go from 8:30 to 10, but I say 9 based on just what I think probably happened, piecing together lots of records and interviews with these men. And so Waverly Woodson, just tell you briefly, because it's also the story of black officers in this war. Waverly Woodson, one of the few areas that was integrated in the US Army was officer training. And the reason for that was the Army did not think that black men were smart enough to get into officer school, so they didn't bother to create 2 schools, as they created 2 armies. I mean, the Army was double in World War II, completely separate, you know, from facilities to everything. So Waverly Woodson was a pre-med student at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. He aced the test. He was in officer training school in the anti-aircraft division. But when he finished, there weren't any jobs for him. And this was very typical. There were quotas on the jobs that could be awarded to black soldiers and ceilings on the ranks that they could have. So second lieutenant was about the top you could get, and there were very few of those. I found 3 second lieutenants in the in this unit and in the related anti-artillery units that they were attached to at various times. And so he got training as a medic. So which was, you know, he became a staff sergeant, but he was a corporal, and he lands on Omaha Beach. And as his craft is approaching Omaha Beach, it hits a mine, it hits a shell, men are just dead all around him. He's hit by shrapnel, and he thinks he's dying. And on the approach, he gets dressed. His wounds get dressed very quickly by another medic. He hits Omaha Beach. He starts just saving men, and he worked for about 30 hours before he collapsed. And you don't hear a lot about June 7th on Omaha Beach. You hear a lot about the 6th, but you don't hear what happened the day after, because while the infantry was getting off the beach, these men were staying on, and they would spend 140 days in France. And so Waverly Woodson, on June 7th, saved 4 more guys whose guide rope broke as they were trying to come onto the beach. He collapses, he gets taken to a hospital ship, and then treated. 3 days later, goes back to the beach.
And was later considered for a Medal of Honor, but didn't receive one.
Yeah, so he was a big star in his day, and his nephew is here, Larry Woodson, is here with us tonight. And just to tell you, Larry's father, Waverly's brother, was in the Tuskegee Airmen. And this was a huge source of pride for their parents in West Philadelphia. And this was as big a deal in West Philadelphia as anything was. The exploits of the Woodson brothers were in the papers. The Pittsburgh Courier called Waverly Woodson #1 invasion hero, and that was a national paper at the time because the black press was incredibly dynamic, and everybody in black America knew who Waverly Woodson was, but not just in black America. White America knew too. Stars and Stripes wrote about him, the white press wrote about him, and it was all about the hero medic who was on Omaha Beach. We find out he was nominated for a Medal of Honor, but no African Americans got it in World War II until Bill Clinton gave 7 of them in 1997. And I would say it's not too late for Waverly Woodson. We give posthumous medals in this country, so the case is made in the book for him.